Hello and welcome to The Business, and today we're going to be doing a top tip, and this one's quite an interesting one. I know there's many out there that have probably tried and failed to fill in tenders for the public sector. Well, today I'm joined by Kath Lavery, and she's got quite a lot of experience in that, and hopefully she'll give us a couple of little bits of heads up of maybe what you're doing wrong and what you should be doing right. Thanks for joining us, Kath.
You're welcome.
So I've got this tender to fill in and I really want to get some work for the council. And what happens is that I know that I can do the job really well and I know I can probably do it at a competitive price, but I keep failing, and when I get the paperwork through, it's really thick. Does anybody sit down and go through all that stuff?
The answer to that is yes. I mean, all public sector organisations have procurement teams. And of course, one of the things you've got to understand with the public sector is that we've got rules ourselves that the government impose and Europe impose on how we procure. So it's not always down to the council or the NHS. We're subject to somebody looking over our shoulder to see how that procurement's done. So yes, it can be complicated because we're spending public money.
Yeah.
And so we can't just do what we'd like to do all the time.
Because there's a lot of things that they ask for in there, like public liability insurance that's really high, and they always ask for things like really strict health and safety. I can see where that's all coming from, to be fair. It's just a real lot of red tape for the small guy down there.
Yes, it is. And the problem is that, well, you can moan about it or you can learn to live with it and get your head round it, because not doing that will mean you fail.
So if suddenly Kath Lavery then was a plumber or an electrician and wanted to get in, and she's got this big list through, is there anywhere where she can go to get help on filling it in, or is it one of those where you've just got to read through it and just try and do it all yourself?
There are companies that will help you, that you can go and employ, but I think the council has a procurement website which is good. It's hard in the NHS to deal with the NHS because most of our procurement is done at a national level. There's an awful lot of it, particularly for goods and services. You've got to get onto the framework agreements nationally, and that's hard for a small business. And people have said to me many times, you should be spending money in Hull, and I think they're absolutely right. So a lot of it can be supply chain to a bigger guy, if that makes sense. So it's getting into perhaps a bigger company's supply chain can be really useful for that smaller company as well.
Yeah, I suppose many of the businesses are going to be out there thinking, well, I want to get into the NHS, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write them a letter and get a quote for them, and I'll get some work within a month. Well, I suppose if you're going to be doing that, that's totally the wrong thing to be doing.
Yes.
I suppose I can help a little bit there with experiences, is that when I was doing it, we took it on board and we actually did little bits at a time. So we'd turn around and say, right, and what we're going to be doing this week? Well, in our spare time, we're going to look down and see what requirements they've got for health and safety.
Yes.
Put that in place.
Yes.
Another thing that's just come on now that I know you're well into is corporate and social responsibility. They actually look into that. Really take the time to feed that information into there. Any other tips?
I think you've just got to have that ready. The public sector will treat obviously health and safety, but things like your equalities statement, issues around workforce, the new rules around retirement or lack of a retirement age, they treat that very seriously, and if it's not there, then you're out. So it's no good saying, well, I'm going to put this in and hope for the best. CSR strategy can be around how you run your business. A lot of it is around the whole pound, the recycling of money in the local economy, and some of it is just around your commitment to this city, in my case, Hull. And if you're the public sector in Hull, then you want to be contracting with people who are as committed to this city as you are. Now, you might know you are, it's how you prove you are. And if you're in a tender situation, you've got to be able to write that down. So think about your contribution. I've said to people quite a lot, well, what do you do and what do your staff do? And said, oh, we do that. Well, then why didn't you? Does that count?
Yeah.
Yes, it counts. So don't leave it till the last minute, as you're saying. Think about what you can put in that box, because those, particularly around contribution to the community, when you're in a public sector tender where that might be analysed 70% on quality, 30% on price, it's your contribution's going to be really, really important. And if you can't articulate it, if you can't write it down, if you don't know what that means, you might have things that you can put in there that are really, really important, but you just forget them, or you don't realise they're important. So think about it and get it written down so that you're ready for these things, because it really, really matters. Treat those issues really seriously.
And I think that's a great top tip for today. So if you're looking to get in on the private sector, really look at the small things, because they're really important. It's no good moaning that you can do it far cheaper. That's not really going to tick all the boxes. So look at the small issues and spend a little bit of time on that. That's our top tip for today.